Imagine being just 13 years old. While most teenagers are playing games or watching television, you're already spending every free minute learning how to program computers. Not because someone forced you, not because there was money to be made, but simply because you were fascinated by what computers could do. Back then, computers weren't sitting on every desk or fitting inside every pocket. They were enormous machines that filled entire rooms, and very few people believed they would one day become part of everyday life. But one curious teenager saw a future that almost nobody else could imagine. That teenager was Bill Gates. His story isn't just about becoming one of the richest people in history. It's about curiosity, vision, taking risks, learning faster than everyone else, and recognizing opportunities long before the rest of the world. I'm Clara, and today we're going to explore the incredible journey of Bill Gates, from his childhood and the creation of Microsoft to becoming a technology pioneer, a billionaire entrepreneur, and one of the world's most influential philanthropists. Along the way, you'll improve your English listening skills, expand your business and technology vocabulary, and discover valuable lessons about success, innovation, persistence, and lifelong learning. Because behind every great success, there is usually one decision, one opportunity, or one idea that changes everything. So let's discover how one young programmer helped shape the modern digital world. Chapter number 1. A curious boy who couldn't stop learning. Long before the world knew the name Bill Gates, he was simply a curious boy who loved asking questions. He was born on October 28, 1955, in Seattle, Washington, in the United States. His family valued education, hard work, and ambition. His father was a successful lawyer, and his mother was deeply involved in business and community organizations. From an early age, Bill showed signs that he thought differently. He loved reading. In fact, he didn't just read books, he devoured them. He could spend hours reading encyclopedias, science books, and anything that challenged his mind. His parents sometimes had to tell him to stop reading and come to dinner. They quickly realized they had a child with an extraordinary curiosity. But school wasn't always easy for him. Bill was incredibly intelligent, yet he sometimes became bored in traditional classrooms. He enjoyed solving difficult problems much more than memorizing simple facts. His teachers noticed that he learned quickly and often finished assignments long before his classmates. Everything changed when he was 13 years old. His parents enrolled him at a private school called Lakeside School. It was there that he encountered something that would completely change his life: a computer. Today, seeing a computer is completely normal. But in the late 1960s, computers were extremely rare. Most schools didn't have one. Most families had never even seen one. The computer at Lakeside wasn't a laptop or a desktop like we know today. Students used a large terminal connected to a powerful computer located somewhere else. Even using it for a few minutes cost money. Despite these limitations, Bill became fascinated. The moment he began learning how computers worked, he couldn't stop. He spent every free moment writing computer programs. While many teenagers spent weekends playing sports or watching television, Bill often stayed late at school experimenting with code. He wasn't thinking about becoming rich. He wasn't dreaming of building a global company. He simply loved solving problems. Programming felt like a giant puzzle. Every line of code produced a result. Every mistake taught him something new. Every successful program motivated him to keep learning. Around this time, Bill met another student who shared his passion for computers. His name was Paul Allen. Paul was slightly older, but the two quickly became close friends. They spent countless hours discussing technology, writing software, and imagining what computers might become in the future. Many people thought they were simply two teenagers obsessed with strange machines. But Bill and Paul saw something that almost nobody else could see. They believed computers would eventually become useful for everyone, not just governments, universities, or large companies. That idea sounded unrealistic at the time. Computers were enormous, expensive, complicated. Very few people imagined having one at home. But Bill and Paul thought differently. Their curiosity soon turned into real experience. Whenever they found opportunities to use computers, they took them. Sometimes they even searched for errors in computer systems because companies rewarded people who discovered problems. Instead of wasting those opportunities, they used them to gain more access to programming time. Every hour they spent practicing made them better. Without realizing it, they were building skills that would later change the entire technology industry. One day, a magazine featured a new computer called the Altair 8800. Although it was very simple compared to today's computers, Bill and Paul immediately recognized its importance. For the first time, they believed personal computers could become a reality. Instead of simply admiring the new machine, they asked themselves a powerful question. What if we could create software for it? That question would completely change their lives. It would lead to one of the most successful business partnerships in history, the birth of Microsoft, and eventually transform the way billions of people work, learn, and communicate. Sometimes, history doesn't begin with a billion-dollar company. Sometimes, it begins with a curious teenager who simply refuses to stop learning. Chapter number 2, The Birth of Microsoft and the Opportunity That Changed Everything. Success rarely arrives with a loud announcement. More often, it appears as a small opportunity that most people ignore. In 1975, Bill Gates and Paul Allen were reading a technology magazine when they saw something that immediately caught their attention. On the cover was a new computer called the Altair 8800. To most people, it looked like an interesting gadget. To Bill and Paul, it looked like the future. The Altair was one of the first personal computers available to the public. It wasn't anything like the computers we use today. It had no colorful screen, no keyboard, no internet, no mouse. Users had to flip switches on the front of the machine just to enter simple commands. For many people, it seemed too complicated to become popular. But Bill and Paul saw something much bigger. They believed that one day, every home, every office, and every school would have a personal computer. The only problem was this: the Altair needed software. Without software, even the most advanced computer is just a machine that sits there doing nothing. Bill had an idea. He contacted the company that built the Altair and confidently told them that he and Paul had already created a programming language for the computer. There was just one small problem. They hadn't. They had the knowledge, they had the confidence, but the software didn't exist yet. Many people would have given up at that point. Bill did the opposite. He and Paul worked day and night. They barely slept. They wrote thousands of lines of code as quickly as they could. Because they didn't even own an Altair computer, they had to imagine how the machine would behave and test much of their work using other computer systems. It was a huge risk. If the program failed during the demonstration, their opportunity could disappear forever. Finally, the day arrived. Paul traveled to demonstrate their software. Bill stayed behind, anxiously waiting for the result. When the program successfully ran on the Altair, everything changed. The company was impressed. They agreed to work with Bill and Paul. That single demonstration became the beginning of a remarkable journey. Soon afterward, the two friends officially created a company. They called it Microsoft. The name combined two words, microcomputer and software. At first, Microsoft was very small. There were no luxurious offices, no thousands of employees, no worldwide fame. It was simply a handful of talented people working long hours because they believed in one idea. Computers would become part of everyday life. Bill made one decision that surprised many people. He left Harvard University. Getting accepted into Harvard is a dream for millions of students around the world. Most people would never consider leaving such a prestigious university. But Bill believed this opportunity was too important to ignore. He often said that he wasn't leaving education forever. He was simply taking a chance while the opportunity existed. Years later, he admitted that if Microsoft had failed, he might have returned to finish his degree. This reminds us that even successful entrepreneurs don't know the future. They simply make the best decision they can with the information they have. During the company's early years, Bill became known for his incredible work ethic. He often worked late into the night. Sometimes he barely left the office. He read computer code written by his employees, searching for ways to improve it. He expected high standards from everyone, including himself. Some employees described him as demanding. Others described him as brilliant. Many agreed he pushed people to achieve more than they thought possible. But Microsoft's greatest strength wasn't simply writing software. It was thinking differently. Most technology companies focused on building hardware. Microsoft focused on building the software that could run on many different computers. That decision would eventually become one of the smartest business strategies in history. Bill understood something many others didn't. The future wasn't just about selling computers. It was about creating the software that made computers useful. That vision placed Microsoft in exactly the right position when the personal computer revolution truly began. And soon, one partnership with another growing company would turn Microsoft from a promising startup into one of the most powerful businesses the world had ever seen. Chapter number 3. The deal with IBM that changed the technology industry forever. By the end of the 1970s, Microsoft was growing. The company had earned a good reputation for creating software. But Bill Gates knew something important. They were still a small business. One major opportunity could change everything. That opportunity arrived in 1980. At the time, one company dominated the computer industry, IBM. If you wanted a serious computer for business, IBM was the name people trusted. Its reputation was built on reliability, quality, and innovation. When IBM decided to enter the personal computer market, the entire technology world paid attention. The company wanted to build its new computer quickly. That meant finding partners who could provide the software it needed. One of those partners was Microsoft. At first, IBM asked Microsoft to provide a programming language, something Microsoft already did well. But soon, another, much bigger question appeared. IBM also needed an operating system. An operating system is the software that manages the computer and allows other programs to run. Without it, a computer is almost useless. The surprising part was this: Microsoft didn't have one. Many people would have admitted defeat. Bill Gates didn't. He believed they could solve the problem. Microsoft quickly found a small company that had developed an operating system called QDOS, short for Quick and Dirty Operating System. The name wasn't very impressive, but the software had potential. Microsoft purchased the rights to improve it. Their engineers worked tirelessly to refine the system, making it more reliable and suitable for IBM's new computer. The finished product became known as MS-DOS. Now came the decision that would become one of the smartest business moves in modern history. Most companies would have sold the software to IBM once and collected a single payment. Bill chose a different path. Instead of selling ownership of MS-DOS, Microsoft licensed it. This meant IBM could use the operating system, but Microsoft still owned it. At the time, this decision didn't seem extraordinary. In fact, some people questioned it. But Bill was thinking years ahead. He believed other computer manufacturers would soon enter the market, and if they needed an operating system, Microsoft could license the same software to them as well. That's exactly what happened. Soon, companies all over the world began producing IBM-compatible personal computers. Many of them needed an operating system. Microsoft was ready. Instead of earning money from just one company, it earned money from hundreds, then thousands. As the personal computer industry exploded during the 1980s, Microsoft grew alongside it. MS-DOS became the standard operating system for millions of computers. Every new computer sold increased Microsoft's influence. But Bill Gates wasn't satisfied. He rarely celebrated success for very long. Instead, he constantly asked, "What's next?" He believed computers needed to become easier for ordinary people to use. Typing commands into a black screen worked for programmers. It didn't work for everyone else. Bill imagined a future where people could simply click on pictures instead of memorizing commands. A computer that anyone could learn to use. That vision eventually led to one of Microsoft's most famous products, Microsoft Windows. When Windows was introduced, it transformed the way people interacted with computers. Instead of typing complicated instructions, users could open windows, move icons, and use a mouse to navigate their computer. It made technology far more accessible. As Windows improved with each new version, Microsoft became the world's leading software company. Millions, then hundreds of millions, and eventually billions of people used Microsoft products every day. Offices, schools, universities, homes, businesses, governments. Almost everywhere you looked, there was a computer running Microsoft software. Bill Gates had predicted something years earlier that many people thought was impossible. He believed there would one day be a computer on every desk and in every home. At the time, that sounded like science fiction. Today, it sounds obvious. That's one of the fascinating things about vision. When someone predicts the future correctly, people often forget how unbelievable the idea once seemed. But with incredible success came enormous responsibility and increasing criticism. Governments began questioning Microsoft's growing power. Competitors accused the company of dominating the market. Bill Gates was about to face one of the biggest challenges of his entire career. Chapter number 4: Success, Controversy, and Becoming One of the World's Greatest Philanthropists. By the 1990s, Microsoft wasn't just another technology company. It had become the biggest software company in the world. Windows was installed on millions of computers. Microsoft Office became the standard tool for schools, businesses, and governments. Wherever you went, there was a good chance you would find a computer running Microsoft software. Bill Gates had achieved something extraordinary. He had turned a small startup founded with his friend Paul Allen into one of the most valuable companies on Earth. In 1986, Microsoft became a publicly traded company. Its shares were offered on the stock market. Almost overnight, Bill Gates became incredibly wealthy. As Microsoft's value continued to grow, so did his fortune. For many years, he held the title of the richest person in the world. People often focused on that number, billions of dollars. But Bill himself often said that money was never his main goal. His real passion had always been building products and solving difficult problems. Even after becoming unimaginably rich, his daily routine remained intense. He read constantly. He asked difficult questions during meetings. He expected people to think deeply before making decisions. Employees often said meetings with Bill could be challenging. If someone presented an idea without enough preparation, he would immediately ask detailed questions, sometimes dozens of them. He wanted evidence, logic, clear thinking. To some people, this made him a demanding leader. To others, it made him one of the greatest business minds of his generation. But enormous success also brought enormous attention. As Microsoft became more powerful, competitors began complaining that the company had too much control over the software industry. Governments started asking difficult questions. Was Microsoft competing fairly? Or was it becoming so powerful that other companies couldn't compete? In the late 1990s, the United States government filed a major antitrust lawsuit against Microsoft. The case attracted worldwide attention. For months, newspapers and television programs discussed the company's business practices. Bill Gates himself spent hours answering difficult questions in legal hearings. Some people believed Microsoft had become too dominant. Others argued that the company had simply built better products. Regardless of which side people supported, the case became one of the most famous legal battles in business history. Eventually, Microsoft reached agreements that changed some of the way it operated. The company continued growing, but the experience taught an important lesson. With great success comes great responsibility. As Bill entered his 40s and 50s, something began changing. He started asking himself a different question. I've been fortunate enough to build one of the world's most successful companies. So how can I use that success to help other people? That question marked the beginning of a completely new chapter in his life. Together with his then-wife, Melinda, he created the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Instead of focusing only on technology, the foundation focused on some of humanity's biggest challenges: improving global health, reducing poverty, supporting education, helping farmers grow more food, providing access to vaccines, fighting diseases such as malaria and polio. Over the years, the foundation donated tens of billions of dollars to projects around the world. Its goal wasn't simply to give money away, it was to invest in solutions that could improve millions of lives. Bill also encouraged other wealthy individuals to become philanthropists. Alongside investor Warren Buffett, he launched the Giving Pledge, an initiative inviting billionaires to donate most of their wealth to charitable causes during their lifetime or through their estates. Many of the world's wealthiest people joined the initiative. Today, Bill Gates spends much of his time reading, researching, meeting scientists, supporting innovation, and working on global challenges such as healthcare, education, clean energy, and climate change. His office is no longer centered only on building software. It's centered on solving problems that affect humanity. Whether people admire every decision he has made or disagree with some of his views, one fact is difficult to deny. Very few individuals have influenced both the technology industry and global philanthropy as much as Bill Gates. His story reminds us that success isn't only measured by how much you earn, it can also be measured by how much positive impact you leave behind. But perhaps the greatest lessons from Bill Gates have nothing to do with billions of dollars. They come from the habits, mindset, and way of thinking that helped him achieve extraordinary success in the first place. Chapter number 5: The Lessons We Can Learn from Bill Gates' Extraordinary Journey. When people hear the name Bill Gates, the first thing they usually think about is money. Billions of dollars, luxury, success. But if you study his life carefully, you'll discover that money was never the starting point. It was the result. The real story begins much earlier, with curiosity. As a teenager, Bill Gates wasn't learning about computers because he wanted to become rich. He learned because he genuinely loved solving problems. He enjoyed understanding how things worked. He spent thousands of hours practicing long before anyone knew his name. That teaches us the first lesson. Passion helps you begin. Consistency helps you succeed. Many people are excited about something for a few weeks. Very few stay committed for years. Bill did. He understood that mastery comes from repetition, from showing up every day, from improving little by little. The second lesson is to recognize opportunities before everyone else does. When Bill and Paul Allen saw the Altair 8800, most people saw an interesting machine. Bill saw the beginning of a new era. When IBM needed software, he saw more than a business contract. He saw the future of personal computing. Vision isn't magic. It's the ability to notice possibilities that others overlook. Sometimes, the greatest opportunities don't look impressive at first. They often arrive disguised as small ideas. The third lesson is that learning should never stop. Even after becoming one of the richest people in the world, Bill Gates continued reading for hours every day. He has often shared that he reads around 50 books each year. He also takes what he calls a think week. During this time, he isolates himself from daily distractions to read, think deeply, and explore new ideas. Imagine that. A billionaire, still making time simply to learn. That reminds us that successful people don't stop learning after school. Learning becomes a lifelong habit. The fourth lesson is to think long-term. Many people look for quick success, quick money, quick results. Bill Gates spent years building Microsoft before it became the company we know today. He made decisions based on where he believed technology would be years into the future, not just where it was at that moment. Long-term thinking often requires patience, and patience is something many people struggle with today. The fifth lesson is that mistakes are part of success. Not every Microsoft product succeeded. Some projects failed. Some ideas didn't work. Competitors sometimes introduced better products. Bill himself has admitted that Microsoft made mistakes throughout its history. But instead of allowing failure to define him, he used it as feedback. One of his famous ideas is, "Success is a lousy teacher." What did he mean? Success can make people believe they're always right. Failure forces people to improve. Sometimes our biggest lessons don't come from winning. They come from making mistakes. Another lesson is about responsibility. Many people dream of becoming wealthy. Far fewer ask themselves what they'll do with that wealth. Bill Gates chose to dedicate much of his fortune to improving healthcare, education, scientific research, and the fight against poverty around the world. Whether someone agrees with every decision he has made or not, his commitment to philanthropy has influenced countless people to think differently about success. Perhaps the most powerful lesson is this: your background doesn't decide your future. Bill Gates was fortunate to have supportive parents and access to opportunities, but opportunities alone don't create success. Thousands of students had access to schools. Thousands learned about computers. Very few spent countless hours developing their skills with the same level of determination. Success is rarely one lucky moment. It's usually thousands of small decisions made consistently over many years. Read one more chapter. Practice one more hour. Solve one more problem. Improve one more skill. Those tiny choices seem insignificant today, but over time, they create extraordinary results. And maybe that's why Bill Gates' story continues to inspire millions of people. Because it isn't really a story about becoming rich. It's a story about curiosity, discipline, vision, learning, and using knowledge to solve problems that matter. Whether your dream is to become an entrepreneur, an engineer, a teacher, an artist, or simply the best version of yourself, the same principle applies. Never stop learning. Never stop asking questions. And never underestimate what consistent effort can achieve over time. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope Bill Gates' journey inspired you not only to improve your English, but also to think bigger, stay curious, and keep learning every single day. Every book you read, every new skill you develop, and every challenge you overcome brings you one step closer to your own success story. I'll see you in the next lesson.